This is a 190 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney Mr. Wilson, capital W-I-L-S-O-N. Defense attorney Ms. M.S. period Rios, capital R-I-O-S. And we'll start with defense attorney. Ready? And can you tell us what exactly those scuff marks are? I'm not sure exactly what left that. It appears to be either a helmet or riding gear of some type. And is the blood stain that you identified as being on the rear of the van near to those scuff marks? Yes. All right. Those scuff marks and the blood stain are adjacent to the rear window of the van, correct? Yes. And was the rear window of the van broken in this accident? Yes. How did it come to get broken? I'm going to object as calling for speculation calls for expert testimony, lacks foundation. If your investigation yielded answers to that question, same objection. It appears that that's due to this collision in some facet. The rear window was broken. Do you know if Mr. Kane's body or the motorcycle broke the rear window of the van? Let me object, lacking foundation, calls for speculation, calls for expert testimony, calls. It's vague and ambiguous. It's unknown which collision broke the rear window, whether it be the motorcycle or his body. You're assuming that one of those did break the window, right? Correct. But you don't know that, do you? I don't know which one. Somebody could have come by after the accident and broke the window, could they? That's why it's my opinion. It's my opinion that one of those two broke the window. Okay, is there any evidence that anyone else came along and broke the rear window of the van? No. Is there any evidence that Mr. Santos broke the rear window of the van? No. Not that you know of, right? Correct. Is there, okay, did you see evidence of the broken window of the rear, let me start over. Did you see evidence of the broken rear window of the van at the scene of the accident? Yes. And what did you see? There was debris field of broken glass within the intersection of West Valley Road and Brea Highway. Okay, and we looked at some of those pictures, I believe, correct? Yes, in the debris field. You arrived 18 minutes approximately after you were dispatched, correct? Yes. And did you observe the debris field of the glass on the roadway immediately when you arrived? Yes. Okay, and can you describe what you saw? It was an area of the roadway that had broken glass and plastic pieces contained within it. What were the plastic pieces? They appeared to be taillight pieces. Do you know where those pieces came from? It's my opinion they came from the left rear taillight of vehicle number 2, the van. Was there any people standing in the debris field of glass and taillight pieces when you arrived? I don't recall. Do you recall if at any time while you were at the scene there were any people standing in the debris field of glass and taillight pieces? I don't recall. Do you know whether any people were standing in that debris field before you arrived? No. Was the majority of that debris field in the eastbound lane of Brea Highway? Yes. And was it within the intersection of Brea Highway and West Valley Road? Yes. Looking at the pictures that we've marked as Exhibit 14 of the scene of the accident does it appear that there was any glass at all in the westbound lane? Let me object, calls for speculation, and to clarify, I'm referring to broken glass from the rear window of the van. No. Can you call out some of the pictures that you've just reviewed to make that assertion? 7214, 7215, 7216, 7217, 7218, and that's the majority of the pictures. All right, I'd like you to take a look at photo 7214. Okay, and in that photo, are you able to see what we've referenced as the pool of blood? Yes. And can you take the red pen and circle where you see the pool of blood? Okay. Can I look over your shoulder real quick? All right. You've circled that. I think it's either in the westbound, or right in the middle of the road area. Correct. How would you describe the location of the pool of blood in relation to the road or the double yellow lines? Let me object as vague and ambiguous. I would say that's within the intersection of Brea Highway and West Valley Road, and its southernmost edge would be approximately at the center double yellow line area, and its northbound side approximately 1 or 2 feet north of the double yellow line. Thank you. Going back to your diagram, which is page 4 of 24 of the traffic collision report, there is another arrow that comes from the westbound lane down and touches the left side of the circle that was has the 1 in it and then follows through into the eastbound lane. Yes. Do you see that line, that arrow actually? Yes. Okay, what does that arrow represent? Let me object as vague and ambiguous. That arrow represents the approximate path of travel of vehicle number 2, the van. Let me also object it's, in addition to being vague and ambiguous, it calls for expert testimony, it calls for speculation and lacks foundation. Go ahead. How did you determine that path of travel? Same question I means same objection. The same evidence I used to determine the number 1 area of impact, which would be the tire friction mark on the road surface along with the broken glass debris field and the damage to the rear of vehicle number 2. At the scene, did you observe any tire marks from that you believe were caused by the van in the road? No. Same objections. When I say same objections, I mean calls for expert testimony, lacks foundation, and calls for speculation, vague and ambiguous. Okay, now let's move on to the circle that has the 3 in it in your diagram on page 4. Yes. And what does that represent? Same objections. That also represents the approximate area of impact of vehicle number 1, the motorcycle, with the road surface. And how did you determine that approximate area of impact of the motorcycle? Same objections. With the roadway. That was determined based on the fluid, what is referenced as the pool of fluids, the fluid markings on the asphalt road. Did anyone take a sample of the fluids? No. To your knowledge, no. Did anyone ever tell you that what those fluids consisted of? No. Do you know what they are today? No. Did you personally do an inspection of the motorcycle? Yes. And when did that happen? I'd like to refer to the report. Sure, the inspection occurred on March 5, 2009. Okay, what are you referencing? This would be supplemental on page S1. Where was that inspection conducted? It was conducted at East Valley Towing in Sherman Oaks. Was the motorcycle taken there by East Valley Towing? Yes. From the scene? Correct. And did East Valley Towing have custody of the motorcycle the entire time from leaving the scene to the date of your inspection? Yes. Okay. And how did you establish that? We filled out a CHP 36 form, which is a form used to track evidence. It was signed into the custody of East Valley by, I believe it was my sergeant, and it was taken into custody by the tow driver, and then they took it to their tow yard and placed it in the evidence area, which is a security area within their tow yard. Okay, when you inspected the motorcycle, did you determine whether anyone had tampered with it from the time it left the scene of the accident? It didn't appear to be tampered. And did you? Did not. Did you look at the fluids in the motorcycle? I'd have to refer to my report. You can do that. No, I did not investigate the fluid or examine the fluid. In your inspection of the motorcycle, did it appear that there were any areas where fluids would have been contained that were broken or smashed? Again, I'd have to refer to the report. Go ahead. No, in my report, I didn't note that there were any damages that would have caused leaking of the fluids. However, my photos would also note any damage that may have caused leaking fluids. Let's go off the record for one moment. Back on the record, have you had an opportunity to review the photos of the motorcycle inspection, which has been marked as Exhibit 15? Yes. Who took those photos? I did. And were they taken on March 5, the day of your inspection? Correct. And have you had a chance to determine whether there are any photos that show any part of the motorcycle that was damaged and could have resulted in leaking of fluid? Yes. In the word list, we have Brea Highway. Brea, capital B-R-E-A, capital H on highway. West Valley Road, capital W-E-S-T, new word, capital V-A-L-L-E-Y, capital R on road. Ms. Santos, M-S period, capital S-A-N-T-O-S. Mr. Kane, capital K-A-N-E. East Valley Towing, capital E-A-S-T, new word, capital V-A-L-L-E-Y, new word, capital T-O-W-I-N-G. Sherman Oaks, capital SHERMAN, new word, capital OAKS. And that's it for the word list. And that will conclude our 190 Q&A practice test.